Welcome to the penultimate video of Module 8 and Accounting 325. This is video M20A on management compensation. Let's start with the objectives of management compensation. To motivate managers to exert a high level of effort to achieve the goals that are set by top management. And they often use bonuses to do that. Another objective is to provide the incentive for managers acting autonomously to make decisions that are consistent with the goals that are set by top management. And lastly, to develop fairly the rewards earned by managers for their effort and skill and the effectiveness of their decision making. So we can kind of break down compensation into two basic types, fixed and variable. And salary tends to be fixed, and bonuses, equities like stock options, and other rewards tend to be variable, which means they're often based on meeting some type of performance measure. Bonus plans can be categorized according to three particular aspects. The first is, what is the base of compensation? That is, how is bonus pay going to be determined? The second one is the compensation pool. That is, the source from which the bonus pay is going to be funded. And then last is the payment options, which is how that bonus is going to be awarded. So compensation is often a percentage of something like the stock price or an increase in stock price, or based on some strategic performance measure like cost or revenue or profit. Or it can also be based on performance measured by the balanced scorecard. So the choice of a base comes from consideration of the compensation objectives of the firm. Then typically once the base is chosen, the firm needs to choose a method for calculating the amount of the bonus based on the actual level of performance relative to the target. So let's start by looking at this chart for 3M Corporation. So you can see that over the last 12 months, 3M Corp's done pretty well. A 10% increase in the stock price. And maybe managers should be awarded a big bonus as a result. But now, if we compare 3M to the broad market index like the S&P 500, it really hasn't done that well. So as a matter of fact, if I had just invested in a broad basket of stocks, I would have done every bit as well as 3M. So you might ask yourself, what has that manager earned for me? Now, if we look at Bank of America, while the overall stock market in 3M did pretty well at 10%, Bank of America returned over 30%. So not only is the raw return good, but the relative return is also worthy of a bonus. So why is stock price often part of management compensation contracts? Well, stock price is generally thought to be a good way to align managers' incentives with owners' incentives. One of the downside is it can result in short-term returns overwhelming long-term strategy in the minds of the managers, which is why many plans will vest ownership of the stock or stock options over a long period of time. Investing means basically getting the right to exercise or own those shares. So bonus pools are rarely created on the basis of individual employees anymore due to tax reasons. So let's go back to the first four modules of this course. Maybe you recall that there's this test called the all events test that says the liability has to be fixed and determinable. And if the employee quitting would result in that employee not receiving their bonus, then the liability isn't fixed until the exact time of payment. Since most firms want to accrue bonuses for tax purposes, they tend to use a firm-wide pool for all or a large group of employees. And if one of those employees quits, then that funding goes back into the employee pool and all the other remaining employees get to benefit. So you can think of it as there are four common bonus payment options. So the first is a current bonus, and that's typically cash or stock or some other form of equity, and it's based on current performance, and it's pretty much the most common form of bonus payment out there. There's a deferred bonus, which can also be paid in cash and stock, and it's earned currently, but it's not paid for 2 or more years. And that's one of those ways of stretching out the management's reward for maybe longer term effects. Stock options confer the right to purchase stock at some future date at a predetermined price. So I could grant you stock options to purchase the stock at $10. The hope is you're going to want to make the stock price go up as a manager to $15 so that that stock option is worth something to you. And then lastly is performance shares, and that's basically just giving stock away. So giving shares of stock as a grant for achieving certain performance goals over 2 years or more. And typically both stock options and performance shares vest over time. Okay, so Holly Dayan works for a hotel chain, and corporate has set some targets for her. So they want the occupancy rate to go to 80%. They want, or to be at least 80%. They want the average rate per room to go up to $88, and that's from the current price of $85. They'd like to see a 5% reduction in total costs, and they'd like to see the hotel reduce its energy use by 10%. So the next thing that we need to do in order to properly attribute management compensation to Holly is determine how are her responsibilities distributed. And so after sitting with Holly and kind of looking at everything, we say, okay, as a manager, Holly, occupancy rate is about 20% of your total responsibility. Operating within some form of the budget, so 95%, because we want a 5% reduction, that's going to be about 30% of your responsibility. The average room rate, so managing the rate at which you sell the hotel rooms, that's about 30% of your responsibility. And energy use is about 20% of your responsibility. Now, this is a pretty crude measure because, as you can imagine, a hotel manager has a lot of things to worry about. But for the purposes of this hypothetical, this is fine. So management decides that they're going to pay her a $60,000 salary, and she can earn up to $30,000 of that as variable compensation through a bonus. Okay, so how are we going to determine the bonus? Okay, so the hotel has 100 rooms. 365 nights a year means 36,500 room nights per year. Her target is 80% or 29,200 room nights. If occupancy is 20% of her responsibility, that means it's about 6,000 of her bonus. That's the $30,000 bonus times 20%. If we divide that 6,000 by the 29,200, what we're going to do is pay Holly a bonus of 20.55 cents of bonus per room night that the hotel rents. If cost savings is 30% of her responsibility, 30% times 30,000 is 9,000. So we're going to allocate 9,000 of her bonus towards cost savings. If we expect her to save 5%, 90,000 divided by 5% is 1,800 per 1% savings in cost. So for every 1%, we're going to give her $1,800. Room rate is also 30%, and thus 9,000 of the 30,000 bonus. We're looking for a $3 rate increase. 9,000 divided by 3 is $3,000 per $1 rate increase. But we're going to do something a little more granular than a $1 rate increase. We're going to take it to a 1 cent increase. So 9,000 divided by 300 is $30 per every 1 cent increase that Holly gets in the average rate. Now, I'll be honest with you, 1 cent seems pretty small. I probably would have gone with at least a 10-cent increase where she could earn $300. Okay, energy is expected, or her total responsibility is 20% for energy, so 6,000 of the 30,000 bonus is devoted to that. Since we're looking for a 10% savings, 6,000 divided by 10% means for every 1% of energy savings, we're going to pay Holly $600. Okay, now we've created her management compensation plan. For occupancy, it's 20.55 cents per room night. For a reduction in cost, it's $1,800 for each 1% savings. For the room rate, we're going to pay her $30 for each 1 cent increase over 85. And for energy, we're going to give her $600 for each 1% reduction in energy use. So if Holly's going to end up selling 30,000 room nights, she gets to the full 5% cost savings, she achieves the full 30% rate increase, but only 8% of the reduction in energy. Well, we know what her compensation agreement is, and it's simply some math. So we take the 30,000 room nights times the 20.55 cents. We take the 5% of cost savings times 1,800. We take the 300 cents of rate increase multiplied by $30 per cent. And we take the 8% reduction in energy times $600. We can take that bonus and add it to her base salary of $60,000 and know that Holly's going to get $88,965 for the year. That's the end of video M20A on management compensation. Only one video left.